and the accepted meaning of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And also I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Graeme Harvey. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching this show live or at a later date, as it means a lot to me to connect with like-minded women. Now, if you've never met before, then my name is Ray, and I love to help women to crossroads in their life, heal their past, create their future, and transform their present, so they can take charge of their destiny in the here and now. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use future life progression, past life regression, guided meditation, angelic Reiki, angel oracle cards, and hypnosis to help women who feel lost get clear on their reason for being here. And I've also created a transformational journey to help you take charge of your destiny and a journey through lifetimes. Now, each episode of the show will cover various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or angel card reading, with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Graeme Harvey, who'll be talking about how past life regression can help you break free. Now, Graeme Harvey is an internationally renowned clinical hypnotherapist who provides guidance and help to clients and other therapists around the world. Graeme has been using past life regression for many years, helping clients to break free from their past, as well as using future life progression to help clients get clear on their future. Graeme is also the author of The Clearance Protocol, a very broad spectrum, safe and gentle way to resolve a very wide range of issues, which is now in use by hundreds of therapists worldwide. So without further delay, hello Graeme and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Good evening, Ray. I am, forget the swear word, I'm wonderful.
Good, keep it clean. So before we get into this fascinating conversation, then I want to remind you that you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Graeme and I want to be part of this conversation. So please do not be shy. So Graeme, why don't you tell us more about yourself and how past life regression can help us to break free?
Well, I think you pretty much summed up my recent life. You know, in my younger days, I used to be a policeman, but I'm much better now. I was actually headhunted from the police into the security area, which is great because I can say what I like about that and not get prosecuted because I can't talk about it anyway. But that was interesting. But I basically, through a whole range of things, like many of us in that line, ended up with post-traumatic stress from a whole range of issues. And I was helped by a hypnotherapist, helped me resolve some of the stuff. And I thought, well, this is great. Going to learn this because if it's helped me, I should be able to help a lot of other people. So I trained in hypnotherapy, but being, I don't know, I'd always been taught, particularly by my beloved father, who had a great love of the English language, always question the source material. And what I was seeing with my knowledge of history and all the rest of it was patently obvious that most of the techniques only dealt with symptoms. And if you deal with a symptom, the symptom can come back or be replaced by something much worse. And it was through a guided meditation that I got the idea for the clearance protocol. And at the same time, I'd also come across past life regression. And I thought, no, that's really interesting. So I did a diploma course in that, got myself a diploma, and worked with a number of colleagues. Did a lot of regressions for people, but also on myself. And I've actually been regressed to 18 past lives, dating right back as far as I can make out to about 3000 BC. And it's, you know, I'm fully aware that a lot of people don't accept or believe in past lives. And that basically that's irrelevant as far as hypnosis is concerned, and I'll explain why later. But for people that do believe in past lives, there's two basic ways of using past life regression. The great one to me is the past life tourists. People who have an interest and want to have a look at who they might have been. They may keep having memories of such and such a place, or they visit a particular place and think, hang on a minute, I know exactly where I am. If I go around this corner, such and such is there. The deja vu thing. And yeah, that can come from past lives. We explore that because we can take them back and they can see who they were, what they were doing, who they were with. I always warn clients before we do a regression. There are one or two things that people have to bear in mind. First of all, when you're going into past lives, you can be either male or female. You are not always the same gender. Following on from that, you're not always the same nationality either. In my own particular case, out of the 18, I have been female 3 times. Out of the 18, I have been Greek, Russian, Chinese, Mongolian, Egyptian, French, Spanish, Scandinavian, white American settler, English twice, I think, and this is the first time I've come across a Scottish life, but I've probably been here before.
Exactly. You can only explore so many past lives.
Yeah. Well, some of them are interesting. I mean, as Egyptian, I was the wife of an Egyptian architect building the temples at Karnak, and boy, did I have a luxurious life then. And it's quite comical because, because I love history, I'll look at the discovery programs on ancient Egypt and everything else. And there was a couple of years ago, there was one about the Sphinx, and they just discovered that there'd been a harbour in front of the Sphinx. And I sort of looked at me, what do you mean you've just discovered that? I've always known that was there. These sort of things will come to your mind, and unless you know, you think, how the heck do I know that? So the third thing to remember is you will frequently recognize people in your past life that are with you today in this life, but not in the same sort of relationship. Now, an old friend of mine, he was a Scottish noble back at the time of Robert the Bruce. And his wife in that life is his youngest daughter in this life. But he's never told her that.
No.
Poor girl would freak. But there's all these sort of things to bear in mind when you're doing it. A couple of other things that are always nice to know is the subconscious is there to protect you. So it won't, in most cases, it won't allow you to go back to a past life that is really traumatic until it is happy that you can cope with that trauma. And I often say to people, you may do 3, 4, half a dozen past lives before you will be allowed to go back and see something where you were killed and whatever. And again, this comes out of the hypnotherapy side as well by using hypnosis. So taking people back through their past lives, you can learn an awful lot about who you are, why you're here. I know from my own experience that in all of the lives that I've been to visit, I have either been a protector, a teacher, or a healer. And sometimes, as in this life, all three. I was a protector as a police officer, I'm a healer as a hypnotherapist, and I'm a teacher because I'm teaching other people, a different method and way to work and how to use it. So, it's not standing in front of a blackboard. It's not standing in an operating theatre with a mask on or whatever. There's all sorts of different ways to be healers and teachers. But it can be an awful lot of fun and very, very informative. I know, again, and I'll deal with my own experiences rather than identify past life, because we don't want to do that. But I was brought up in Croydon, in Surrey. My parents moved down there when I was 5, and passed 11 plus and got a scholarship to one of the minor English public schools. Part of that was being in the combined cadet force was compulsory. So 2 or 3 weeks into school, we then get issued with our military uniforms. And for the first 2 years, you were in the Army Cadets. And then after that, you could make up your mind whether you want to transfer to the Navy or the Air Force Cadets. So we're issued with Army uniform. Now, this is sort of 1959, 1960-ish. So we were still getting World War II battle dress. And, the big hobnail boots with the knobbly toe caps. So I got all my kit, took it home, sorted my boots out, balled them up, could see your face in the toe caps. I pressed my uniform, and the following Monday, because Monday was always the day we were in military uniform, I turned up, smart as a guardsman, out on parade, and I've got all the masters looking me up and down and saying, "Who taught you to press your uniform?" "Nobody, sir." "Oh, come now, boy, somebody must have helped you." I said, "No, I didn't. I just took it home, got the ironing board out and pressed it. Have I done it wrong?" "No, it's absolutely right. That's why we want to know who taught you to do it. Surely your father must have helped you." I said, "Nah." I said, "My dad couldn't help me." I said, "My dad's a pharmacist. And he spent the whole of the Second World War making morphine out of raw heroin." Didn't know, wouldn't know one end of a rifle from the other. Well, that was that. A couple of weeks later, got issued with rifles, the old Lee Enfield 303. I stripped it down and I said, "What are you doing, lad?" So, "Proving the weapon, sir." "Who taught you to do that?" "Nobody." "Just, am I doing it wrong?" "No, you're doing it absolutely right." That's why we, went into that conversation again. Many, many, many years later, Past Life Regression, I was Sergeant Charles James Stanley of the 1st Worcester Regiment. I was the weapons and drill instructor at battalion headquarters from September 1914 to October 1916, when I was then sent out to the front. That's how I knew how to press my uniform and strip a rifle. And things like that creep up on you. You're doing things, never been taught to do them in this lifetime, and eventually you may have a dream through regression or whatever, find out, hang on, yeah, I used to do that in a past life. Other things too, and in the police up here in Scotland, for a number of years, we used to run summer camps for underprivileged kids in local country parks. I also got involved with all the activities. And my first week in camp, first day we're doing archery. Never held a bow in my life. So of course, it's the usual thing. The instructors are there. Anybody used a bow before? No. So we all get taught and taught all the safety instructions and everything else. And then I was going to say let loose, but no, we were given our arrows and a target to aim at. And I thought,
no health and safety in those days.
No, not much, no. So I started shooting, and the next thing's tap on my shoulder. And it's one of the instructors. He went, "You're a lying git." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You told me you never had a bow." I said, "I haven't." So I don't believe you. Come with me. So he took me into the equipment hut, and he gave me this huge bow with all sorts of pulleys and drawstrings on it and everything else. He said, "Go and play with that." I then found out that he was the European field archery champion, and this was his bow.
Wow.
And yeah, it was great, lovely experience. Many years later, another past life regression, I was a Mongol warlord shooting my bow and arrows from horseback.
Ah.
So, yes, again, all sorts of things can crop up. But over and above that, one thing we always tell clients, even if they're doing the tourism route, if we do come across something that we feel is still affecting them in their lifetime, we can get it left in the past. It no longer, because it happened in a previous life, it no longer affects them. It's done and dusted. It's the experience that they were supposed to have at that time. They've had that experience. They've learned from it. So it can be left way in the past. And it no longer affects. And frequently, we find after the session, they report back very quickly, "I don't have that issue anymore." Great. It's also, very helpful.
Yeah. Well, we've got a question from Cindy, who says, "Do you think that we are drawn to similar circumstances or interests in each life?"
No. My thinking along that line is very much like quantum mechanics, quantum physics side of it. We are all intelligent energy. We cannot experience anything in the physical as energy, so we have created everything. Combined energy with things like the Higgs boson, different energy vibrations creates different types of material and all the rest of it. So we are basically energy. And, you can't kill off energy. So when our physical body expires, our energy still remains. And that goes back to where we recharge, review, and then decide what experiences we need to experience in our next incarnation. Excuse me. And, which family we're going to go into. And again, you often get people getting confused because I think past lives relate to their DNA line. And it doesn't. It's totally different. There is a way of doing past lives down the DNA line. And our friend Yvonne Griffin over in Ireland is very good at doing that. She used me as a guinea pig in the early days. And lo and behold, my granny came through and told me all about the family history of heart problems, which I found quite interesting, considering that I'm one of the longest open heart surgery survivors in the UK. And I was a guinea pig on the heart-lung machine back in 1957. But, I think it was more on my granddad's brother's side of the family that had many of the heart issues. We didn't seem to have them on our side of the family. I mean, my uncle lived till he was 90. My mother was in her late 80s when she passed, so there wasn't much of an issue there. Yeah, we clear up all sorts of things like that, and just work away. And with regards to, do we come back for the same sort of things? You might have to come back and experience similar things because you haven't learned from the experience. I'm not too keen on this karma idea, and I think we discussed that before, Ray.
Yeah.
The whole purpose is, to me, and this is my belief, so I'm not forcing it on anybody, but I firmly believe that we are here in each incarnation to experience different things, so we get a full range of experiences. There is an example that I use, which I appreciate can upset people, but consider that Adolf Hitler is now an aid worker working in a refugee camp in Africa.
Yeah, it's quite possible that he could be.
Yeah, it's totally possible. These are all things that we go through in our journey. So I hope that answers the question.
Okay, she's all right, okay. So Cindy says, I get what I call bleed through. Also bleed throughs. Like I get snippets of me, but not me here and now. So I think that's where it comes from. She comes from, do you think it's possible to be in more than one physical form at the same time in different dimensions?
Yes.
We can go into really deep there if we really want
to. Don't get me started on parallel lives.
That could be another subject.
Yeah, it could be. My poor missus, if I mention parallel lives, she just freaks and runs out the room. It's just, don't go there. Yeah, I mean, all these things are possible because, bearing in mind, everything happens in the now. Time is only a concept in the third dimension, which we inhabit at the moment. But there is nothing to stop us being here, there, and everywhere else. I saw a report recently that scientists now believe that the brain can operate on up to 11 different dimensions.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which, yeah, it does make a lot of sense, because we can communicate. People don't believe that. You're mad. You're working with the devil. Ooh. Yeah, there are always going to be things which will hang over, like attitudes. I mean, I know ever since I had conscious memory, I had a distrust of Americans. And that's from the age of 2. Again, past life regression. I was murdered in Carolina in 1756. That might well account for why I don't trust Americans.
Yeah.
But to be perfectly honest, they haven't done an awful lot to change my mind.
But do you think that knowing about that kind of did help change your attitude slightly? So that if you know that you know why you have that dislike, that fear as to why it happened, you can actually clear it so it doesn't really affect you now.
Oh yeah, very much so. I mean, to be absolutely honest, I've got a number of very good American friends, but the interesting thing is they all think the same thing as I do about their fellow countrymen. But hey ho, I mean,
about that one.
I mean, it's silly things which keep confirming your suspicions. I mean, I saw a report that there was a survey done recently where people were asked whether Arabic numerals should be taught in American schools, and 73% said no. And you think, well, how the hell are they going to count?
Yeah.
You know, because 0 to 9 are the Arabic numerals.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And Cindy has also said, I really have no attachment to my ancestors, maybe because I don't know them.
Depends what you mean by ancestors. If you're talking about your DNA line, as I sort of hinted earlier on, you're not likely to have any attachment to your ancestors. You will have attachment to your spiritual line through, wherever you have been. And again, you're likely to get all sorts of weird and wonderful experiences with that. One of the things that happened first time Norma and I went on holiday, after we got together, 17 years ago now. First holiday, went to Spain. We were supposed to be there for a couple of days, then meet up with a friend of mine and go to stay with him in his villa. But sadly, his mother had taken ill and he couldn't make it. Anywho, first night in the hotel, we'd arrived there pretty late, just basically crashed out. Got up in the morning, went for breakfast, back up to the room, sat on the balcony looking at the scenery. And I turned to Norma and I said, "This is really strange." I said, "But I feel very much at home here." And said, "Ah, I better tell you what happened during the night then." And I went,
Oh, yeah.
"What?" She'd got up to go to the loo about 4 o'clock in the morning. And as she was getting back into bed, the room was suddenly full of different coloured orbs dancing about. And she watched me come out of my body, turn into one of the orbs and go dancing with them. And all she was getting was a message from the orbs. "Don't worry, it's okay. This is a welcome home party for him."
Oh my God, amazing.
And then she watched me eventually get back into my body. Because never said anything to me over breakfast about this. And, bless her, it hadn't scared her, which I was quite concerned about when she told me about it. So, that wasn't deja vu on my part, but it was evidence. And yet again, several years later, doing a past life regression, I went back to a life as a Spanish grandee from that part of Spain. And I'd been tasked to take a fleet of 3 ships to South America for the king and bring back all the treasure. And I had one or two problems out in South America, which I overcame and got the treasure back to the king and was very amply rewarded. And, had a great time on my estates and looked after all the peasants that lived on my estate. I was a nice master, looked after them, which was it was nice to know. So yeah, there's again a range of things, but it's not connected with your DNA.
Yeah. So I think Cindy has said, so she gets a feeling. Oh, well, she was talking about feeling not only me, she's most definitely parallel lives, though she's never heard anyone talk about it. You ought to catch some of my previous shows and probably Brighton, because we can go into parallel lives and quantum physics and all of that. But Cindy also says, yes, DNA line. She feels very attached to the spiritual line rather than the DNA line, which is what you were obviously just
exactly.
talking
Anyway,
about.
As time is moving on,
Yes,
going to revert to the hypnotherapy side. as you mentioned earlier on, I'm the author of the clearance protocol, which basically I don't deal with symptoms. Australian research back in the late 50s, early 60s identified the correlation between stress and the damage to the immune system and the psyche. And further experiments and investigations showed that it's the accumulation of stresses and the negative emotions attached to those stresses that cause people to adopt coping mechanisms. Those coping mechanisms will fall into three categories: addictiveness, behavioral issues, or psychosomatic illness disorders. So if you deal with a symptom and haven't dealt with all the underlying causes that have exacerbated the issue, then okay, you might get rid of that symptom, but it can come back or it can be replaced, often by something much worse. So the way I work is working with the clients, the subconscious. We collate all the negative emotions attached to everything that's ever caused them hurt throughout their lifetime, either by other people or even by themselves. And I always include anything in this or any other lifetime you may have had. And I'll explain that in a minute. But so by allowing them to collate everything, I just sit back and twiddle my thumbs until their subconscious tells me, yes, I've got everything that needs to be removed. We then go to a disposal area where it's disposed of. But during the disposal, they have to forgive the things that have hurt them and also forgive themselves for allowing that to have hurt them. And that clears an awful lot of issues out. Once that's done, we then carry on and eventually end up rebuilding the self-esteem, self-confidence, and factoring in their desired outcomes. In the early days when I was doing this, I had a number of weight loss clients. And all I do was, I tend to use something like the Hall of Mirrors. So they're looking into the mirrors and the mirrors are reflecting the real them. So, they tell me what their desired weight would be, or, it was easier with women with a dress size. They could relate more to that and factor in that is who they are. Now, I've then found that 95% of those clients were cancelling the follow-up appointments because within the first 2 weeks, they had already lost anything up to a stone, completely changed their eating habits, and started or increased an exercise regime and felt absolutely wonderful. So it was, well, I feel great. I don't see why I need to come back and spend more money with you, Graeme. I said, no, you don't. You do need to tell your friends, let's get the referrals in. But it was amazing, all sorts of other things that fell by the wayside. I was losing count as well of the number of people that phoned me up and said, Graeme, what the hell have you done to me? I've not had a drink since I saw you. I even, on a couple of occasions, had, including one hypnotherapist friend of mine, I did not disclose to you that I'm an alcoholic. Yet since that session, I cannot touch alcohol. It makes me physically ill. So you're continually working that way, getting superb results. And the past life thing doesn't crop up all that often. But I really got into it with 2 clients for fear of flying. 6 months apart, couldn't really find anything at all. They had no idea that anything had happened during their present lifetime that caused them to be scared of aircraft or whatever. So anyway, I did the clearance protocol, and during what we call the return journey after the rebuilding of the self-esteem. Got them just to sit down quietly and drift back in time to a time when this thing first arose. Transpired one guy had been American bomber crew shot down in flames over Cologne in 1942. Yeah, can understand fear of flying after that one.
A little bit.
And the other one had been a German pilot in World War One who'd been shot down over the Somme in January 1917. After I brought him out of trance, I said to him, "Do you remember whereabouts on the Somme it was that you shot down?" He said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Might have been me that shot you down, pal, because I was on the Somme in January 17." Yeah, I mean, you know, we had a good giggle there, but within less than a week, both of them were on aircraft flying without any kind of issue at all. And lots of other areas have happened, not all that I'm aware of. I mean, one of our colleagues contacted me. She was absolutely convinced that there was something from a past life, couldn't identify it, what it was. I did the clearance protocol with her. We never investigated what it was, but a week later she said, "It's fixed. Whatever it was is no longer there." So, you know, we don't have to know.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, again, it's in my approach with clients. I don't need to spend an awful lot of time prior to doing the hypnosis listening to all the tales of woe and all the things that they think cause their problems. The subconscious already knows that.
Yeah.
And one of the benefits to me and any other therapist that uses my method is lack of burnout, because we're not being subjected to all the negative stuff that they're pushing out. You know, we're not taking that on board. So burnout is far less of an issue for us. Most clients love it, and the reactions you get. One of the best ones I ever did was actually a freebie. I was on holiday in Tunisia. We got quite friendly with an elderly couple that had been going the same hotel for umpteen years, and they knew all the pool staff and most of the staff in the hotel. And there was one particular young man, Bilab, who I think he was 21, 22, been to university, got his degree, wanted to be a teacher, but had a horrendous stutter, which had started in his early teens. And when they found out what I did, they said, "Oh, you know, could you help Bilab?" Yeah, quite happy to try, you know, we'll do it. So during his break one afternoon, we went to the far corners of the hotel grounds at peace and quiet, and I did the clearance protocol with him. Now, bearing in mind, his first language is Arabic, second language is French, and third language English, and I don't speak Arabic. But, you know, we got through. When I brought him out of trance, he just looked at me wide-eyed and went, "Wow." His stutter had almost completely disappeared. And he was able to say to me, he said, "I know what I need to do now. If I think I'm going to stutter, I just take a deep breath and then carry on." Didn't charge for it, but benefited in a massive way. Because what I didn't know was Bilab's dad was the head waiter in the hotel. And that evening, when Norm and I went in for dinner, standing applause from the staff, and we were treated like royalty for the rest of our stay. Nothing was too much trouble, you know. And I think that was really nice. It was totally unexpected. Didn't do it for that, but you know, you give out and you get back.
Yeah.
So really, yeah. Past life regression. Two main ways of doing it: tourism, and if we come across anything, we can resolve it. It gives you an opportunity to learn how to do things in this lifetime you haven't been taught to. It gives you an idea of what dreams or whatever are coming, where they're coming from, and all the rest of it. And it also allows us, to clear anything up if we come across it, to make sure it's not dragged forward. Using on the hypnotherapy site, yes, by using the wording when we're doing the clear out, anything in this life or any other lives, because that, as you and I know, can include future lives too.
Yeah.
Never had anything come across that's allegedly from a future life yet. It's always been past lives, but that's by the by. We're still clearing things out, giving the clients a much clearer idea of who they are as spirit, as energy, and able to continue, living a much happier, hopefully healthier and longer life.
Yeah.
And hopefully being nicer people. if they're not nice people already, let's face it, an awful lot of the ones we do see are very nice people.
They are very nice. I don't think I've ever seen a really bad person. But going back to what you're saying about past or future, when I have clients, I tend to do is what they need to know to clear to help them in the present. And I've had clients who have actually gone forward in time rather than go. They've come from past life, but they've ended up going forward because that is where they need to be to help them in their presence. So as the individual, your subconscious knows where you need to be going and what you need to be clearing. And when we're just really guides to help you make your own decisions.
Absolutely. And I think, the way I work, I always explain to the client the journey we're going to take, and how it will help them. And you can automatically see the subconscious going, hang on, I'm going to get involved in this because this is good.
Yeah.
So you've got the subconscious on board immediately, which makes life so much easier. And the results have been absolutely phenomenal. Some of them, as you mentioned earlier on, it is very, very broad spectrum. And I always remember one of the ones that I will never ever forget was colleague over in Arkansas, and this was in the days when I was getting colleagues to trial it for me. And Jim had a young teenage girl brought to him by her grandparents. This kid had been suffering between 3 and 7 seizures a week, non-epileptic seizures. Been going on for 3 years. Medics couldn't sort it. One session with a clearance protocol, gone. No more seizures.
Perfect.
And I just felt, if I do nothing else in my life, then I've done something. But you get that feeling with virtually every client. They wake up eyes wide open and totally gobsmacked.
Yeah.
You get this crumpled, cringing individual walk in, and an hour, 2 hours later, this young, vibrant spirit is dancing out the office. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes it all worthwhile. So Graeme, as you know, I do angel oracle cards and I also do guided meditations. So as part of the show each week, I like to ask my guests what they would like me to do. So Graeme, would you like me to pull an oracle card for you and the viewers watching, or do a mini guided meditation? What would you like me to do?
Oh, let's have an oracle card.
Why not? We like oracle cards.
Yes.
Enough, they're in my hands already. Okay, so as some people may or may not be aware, although I work when I do the cards, I don't predict the future. I do the cards for what you need to know for your highest good at this moment in time. which sounds a bit contradictory because I work with the past, but there is healing the past so you're fully present, and working with the future so you come back to the present. So everything is always for the present. So let's just give the cards a quick cleanse and a bless. So what does Graeme and everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? What does Graeme and everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good? Brilliant. So we have got a break in trail. A breakthrough is at hand. Which is very, very interesting, because whatever it is that you're working on at the moment, that breakthrough is actually going to open up for you, and the path is going to be a lot clearer for you to actually go and do that. And again, that's for those watching as well. You know, anything you think that is blocking you at the moment, it is actually, there's a breakthrough at hand, whether that's through the spirit, your subconscious, or somebody else coming along. There is a breakthrough at hand coming towards you. And it also ties in with what we've been talking about as well, with that when you look at clearing past life issues, you have a breakthrough. And what was the title of the show? Breaking Free.
Absolutely.
So that's absolutely perfect. And Cindy, thank you so much, Cindy, for all your questions. It's been brilliant. But Cindy says, fantastic, fascinating conversation. Thank you both.
Well, glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, and right on, love that card. That's brilliant. And Cindy, although I've only touched on it with previous programs, that is a subject I will come back to, and I will actually do a show for you where I might have Graeme, possibly Paul on here, and we can talk about parallel lives. And we do a show on parallel lives. Let's do a show on parallel lives. You know, I've decided that's what we're going to do. So I'll set that up somewhere along the line. So we do that. So Graeme, do you have any insights or thoughts to leave our viewers?
Yeah, I'm not going to come out with the old platitudes like, don't worry what you're going through because we're all going through it. Total bloody nonsense. What I would love to leave with everybody is you are the most important person in your life. Look after yourself. You cannot be strong to look after others that you love and care about unless you spend some time looking after you. It's something that Norma said to me a few years back. Lots of us are givers and we love to give to others. We're very bad at receiving.
Yeah.
And what she said to me one night has never ever left me. She said, you know how good you feel when you're giving to somebody. Why deny them that feeling when they want to give to you?
Yeah.
So yeah, look after yourselves. Spend time on you so you can recharge the batteries to look after those that you love and care for. And see you on the other side.
Yeah, they're absolutely perfect, brilliant words, Graeme, and something that everyone needs to take note of, especially therapists. They seriously need to do that as well as normal people. So everyone, I hope you have enjoyed this and found it insightful, and the words of wisdom Graeme have given you will help you further on your journey. So Graeme, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I've got a page, Sen Scott Therapies. Now it's CEN Scott, because it's me being lazy, and it's an abbreviation for Central Scotland. So it's Sen Scott Therapies. That's the Facebook page. You'll also find, I'm on Google. I do have a website. It's not the most brilliant, all singing, all dancing website, but the relevant information is there. And the contact details, because for years I've been doing sessions on Skype, but more recently I've been introduced to Zoom. So a lot of work is done on Zoom. So I can do sessions on Skype or Zoom. Email me, contact me, arrange, just email me first for a chat. There's also a phone number on the Facebook page and the website. So yeah, give me a ring.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll post those links so that if anyone wants to contact you, they can actually just click on that link and it will take them straight to the Facebook page or your website. And Cindy says, oh my God, a friend said almost the exact thing, same to me years ago. And so that was your words of wisdom there, Graeme. And she also says, thank you both. And have a lovely evening. That's brilliant. Thank you, Cindy. So everyone, I hope you've enjoyed that show. And if you have reached that crossroads in your life and you need help finding your destiny and getting clear on your path, then I would love to be that guide for you. So please reach out and connect with me and we can arrange a free 20 to 30-minute video call to find out more about each other and how I can help you on your journey. And you get a mini guided, a mini card reading to help you see whether we'll be able to help you or not. And of course, the Angel Wings membership community is now open, where you get a chance to grow with ascended masters, archangels, gods, goddesses, and be part of a community to help you spread your wings and soar. And also, if you want to sign up to my free weekly newsletter on my website, you get a guided relaxed meditation to help you de-stress. And there are some free gifts on there. So everyone, thank you again so much for watching. And thank you, Graeme, for being on the show. And I would like to invite you to share this video. And I know Cindy has already shared it out. So thank you, Cindy, as I'm sure there are more women who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny, just like you. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe and the bell button to be notified of when the show goes live and any other videos I actually post on YouTube. And I look forward to seeing you all again, same time, same place next week. So thank you and have a wonderful rest of the evening. Bye.
Bye. Oh, and a quick one before we go. You and I are related.
Okay. We'll have a discussion about that when we finish the show.
Well yeah, it's simple, really, because we've both got blue eyes, so we're related.
Ah.
The DNA for blue eyes only goes back 10,000 years.
Really?
Mm.
Ah, that's an interesting subject.
Aye, something for another program, perhaps.
Yes, I'm getting loads of ideas for shows today. It's brilliant.
Anyway, I need to be away, so
yes, I will. We will say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah.